everybody, Brandon Jones here. I am joined by Mr. Daniel Bloodworth.
Hey.
And we are going to introduce this week's GT Countdown, which is the top 10 Metroid-Vania games that are not Metroid or Castlevania. How did this come up? How did this genre come up at our top 10?
I don't know.
meetings?
Well, even calling it a genre really is kind of strange. It's like
You're not a fan of the name.
No, I'm not a fan of the name. And I think part of it goes back to when I first played Symphony of the Night. Because at the time, there was this huge like conflict in my mind of like, this is just ripping off Super Metroid, you know, like with the map and everything like that. And obviously, like the game went a lot farther than that, and it ended up doing its own thing with the RPG elements and its own types of secrets and things.
But I think that's the question: is what does Castlevania bring to the equation? Like
Right.
these two genres have kind of met, or these two franchises have created their own genre. Like I think there's much more voice acting. I mean, that really changed in some of the more recent Metroid games. But Castlevania is really known for its flamboyant story, so it brings that to it. I think it has more RPG elements. There's more of an inventory to manage usually in a Castlevania game than a Metroid game.
Yeah, I mean, you swap up weapons and stuff a lot, and,
Right.
and then the you kind of have the transformations in Symphony of the Night as well.
But specifically, lots of backtracking. You have a big map that you're going through. Specifically, a 2D environment. We're going to be sticking to just 2D games.
Yeah.
Because I think once you start bringing in your Arkham Asylum and all that other stuff, it kind of muddles the list a little bit. So we have not yet picked this list, and of course, we will love your suggestions. Let us know on Facebook what you think is the best Metroidvania game that is not a Castlevania game or a Metroid game. And we're going to be doing another poll that you can find on Facebook, and we're asking you whether you prefer Metroidvania or Castleroid, or you think both of those names are really stupid. You can vote on that poll as well. So what would you think would be a good example? A Shadow Complex is one that I think
Shadow Complex
first
is
came.
probably one of the bigger ones. It's weird because on the one hand, I feel like I've been hearing this term a lot of games using it, but at the same time, like I have a hard time coming with specific games. I know one that I played was Insanely Twisted Shadow Planet, which you were actually like flying a spaceship, but you still had all the upgrades and the huge map like that. So
I know there was a Mars game that just came out. It was like Mission to Mars or something on Waking Mars, I think. It was an iOS game on the iPad, and that was really fun. I don't know if it came out for other tablets, but it was very Metroid-esque, obviously, because you're an astronaut on a planet. I actually just remembered before we sat down, Alien 3. I definitely want to make an argument for on the Super Nintendo. I was a big fan of. Definitely way better than that weird movie. And but same thing. You incorporated new weapons and completed missions to open up different doors. It was an interesting take on the genre. But a tricky list, not something that like all those games really come pouring into your head.
right,
But
yeah, and you can't just do a quick search either.
Right.
They don't always come up.
But I think those are the fun lists, and I think the concept was just too fun for us to ignore. That's why we want to do it.
Yeah.
So definitely let us know what your suggestions are. We'll be posting the top 10 Metroidvania games that are not Castlevania or Metroid this Friday, so be sure to check it out. Thanks.